A very good morning to my dear students. Let's start our CS class. In the previous class, we started the lesson of files and we discussed text files, binary files, and CSV files. Today, we are going to discuss text file functions. Some functions, how to open the function. So basic operations of files are, in the previous class I discussed, basic operations of the files are what we do when we want to open a file in our computer. Yes, we will first open the computer, and if we want to change any information, then we will edit, save, close. Like that we will deal with our file. Like that in Python also some methods for files. So first function is Python file open. So what is the name? As the name implies, file open means we can work with the file by using open function in Python. In text file, we will use, in the case of text file, we will use open function. This open function must contain two parameters. They are file name and mode. File name means which file we want to open. That means if suppose its name is grade12.py, then we can specify that name which is stored in the hard disk. So that is the file name. And mode means how how can we open the file, in is there any restrictions or is there any accessible options. So there are four different modes for opening file. They are, first one is read. As the name implies, read means a file is open for reading. If the file exists, we can open that file for reading. Suppose if there is a file, then we can access or open a file for reading. So that is the mode R. Next is mode A. A means append. Append means we can add some contents to the file. If that file does not exist, what happened? A new file is created by using A mode. So in R mode, if the file does not exist, it will return an error. We already specified the error streams, write streams, read streams, etc. So in append function, we can open a file for appending. If a file does not exist, it will create a new file. Next is W. W is the write function. Write function or write mode, which is used for file writing. Writing means we can add the contents. We can create a new file also. If the file does not exist, it will be created like in append function. By using write, a file is opened for writing, and if the file does not exist, a file is created. Next is create. Create means we can create a new file by using the mode X. So if the file already exists, what happens? It will return an error because the same file with the same name exists. So it will return an error. So these are the modes used for opening a file. In addition to this, we can specify the file mode. That means file handling mode. We can select either text mode. It is the default mode because these functions are for text mode. So it will be T means text mode, which is default mode, or B means binary mode. Binary mode means if we want to open an image, it will be in binary format. So we can use the mode B. So these are the default modes. Usually the file pointer is placed at the beginning for reading purpose when we open a file in this mode. So initially the file pointer is at the beginning. So these are the modes used for file open. So open function contains two parameters, the file name and mode. Then Let's look how can we write the open function. Its syntax is simple. A variable name, any variable name, then an assignment operator, that means equal to operator, followed by a function open. Open is the function used to open a file. Then demo file.txt means the file demo file.txt is opened. The file exists in our folder, that file is opened. This code is similar to this open demo file.txt comma rt. rt means R for read and T for text. So if we didn't supply any mode value, then automatically RT will pass because it is the read mode. So opening a file syntax is file name followed by equal to sign, then a function open, inside bracket, inside quotes we will give the name of the function. If the make sure the file exists or else you will get an error. That means if the file exists, it can be opened, otherwise it will produce an error. Then next is file access mode. We already specified some modes. Here are other type of operations specified in this group. That is R plus means text file read and write mode. Both is covered in R plus. RB plus means binary file read and write mode. That means inside this mode we are passing this parameter. Here we specified 4 types of modes. That are the main modes. So this RB plus is binary file for read and write mode. W means text file write mode. WB means B for binary text and binary file write mode. W plus means text file read and write mode. W plus. R plus also text file read and write mode. W plus also text file read and write mode. WB plus means text and binary file read and write mode. A means appends text file at the end of file. If a file does not exist, a file is created. AB means appends both text and binary files at the end of file. That means at the end of file we can add new contents. AB. A plus equal to text file appending and reading. AB plus equal to text and binary file for appending and reading. For example, if we opened a file, open test.dat. Dat is a data file, comma AB plus. What happened? AB plus equal to text and binary file for A for appending. B means binary. B plus means both mode. That means text and binary files opened in both modes, that is reading and appending. If we are using plus sign, that if we are using plus sign, that implies we can use two modes together. That means R plus means read and write. RB plus means B for binary, read and write both binary and text file. W means text file write mode. WB means text and binary file write mode. W plus means text file read and write mode. So if you are using plus, both modes can be opened. So according to this, we can give value or we can create new file, we can edit the file and so on. Next is closing file. So what we have done, we opened a file, we performed read or write. After that we have to close the file. After the use of the file, we have to close the file. Like our file, our physical file, what happens? We will take the file, we will open, we will edit or we will add some documents. After that we will close, like our notebook. So closing file means it will free up all the system resources used by the file. That means once file is closed, we will not be able to use the file object anymore. So system resources are allocated for file operations. These system resources will be freed by using close operation. The format is file object dot close. That means if we are using F, then F dot close is used. If we use F1, then F1 dot close will be used. So syntax is file handle dot close. For example, fout.close. Fout.close means fout is the file name followed by close methods. If we are using files, it must be close the file after the use because it will produce unwanted resource utilization or buffering happen. Buffering means data will be buffered or queued. Then changes made to a file may not show until you close the file. If we are not closing the file, if we change the file, that changes will not reflect. Then we told first we have to open the file. We have to specify which mode, read mode, write mode, append mode, etc. Then we have to close the file. So we specified the modes, but how can we read the data? We are using the function for opening and closing that we specified. Then how can we read contents from the file? This is possible by some methods or functions. So there are some file reading methods are there. So we can write a program to read text or binary file from hard disk. So to read or write, first we have to open the file, that is compulsory. After reading, we have to specify the mode. After reading or write, we have to close the file also. So how can we access data? The data is accessed. So this is our Python program. This is our text file which is in the hard disk. So from hard disk, how can we access the file? Suppose in this there is a file named python.dat. Then how can we access in our Python program? Suppose I created a Python program a.py. How can we access the contents of another file to our program? So access means reading data. How can we read text or binary file from a hard disk? There are three methods or functions are used for reading. They are read method, read line method and read lines method. All three methods are used to read the contents of a file, that are read, read line and read lines. What is first is read method. Read method by default returns the whole text, but we have to specify how many characters we want to return. So the read method simply reads the entire file. So if suppose our file name is f1, then first we have to open the file. F1 equal to open of x.txt comma r, like that we can open. Then f1.read will read all the contents of the file. The entire file can be read by read function. File object.read is the syntax to reading a file. If we want to read only a parts of the file, what happened? We have to specify like file object.read of size. Then this up to this size the contents of the files are read. So how can we read the function? First we have to open the file. If we want to use read method, then we have to specify R mode. So this is for reading. So f equal to open demo file.txt is the file we want to open, comma R. Then print f.read of 5. What happened? First 5 characters of this demo file.txt is printed. So if we are specifying the size, then according to that size, the contents are printed. So f.read5 means first 5 characters of the file demo file.txt are read. If we want the entire contents, then we can use print f.read. Here 5 is used to specify the size of the file. Okay, so these are the functions. In this class we have learned how can we open the file, then what are the modes used, RWA, etc. Then how can we read the contents of file to our program by using three methods: read, readline and readlines. Read method by default read all the contents of a file. We can specify the size too. We can continue our next session, that means readline method, in the next class. Thank you. And